Love and longing. The laughter of babes greets his latest little trick as he mimics classic comedy and shoots the keys as he plays. Mixed with the blunders of his slowly growing skill, and the girls are having a wonderful time. The goofy face, the motion of his hand, maybe the keys he's choosing. Whichever of the three it is, they're loving it. Sadly, all things come to an end eventually, and he's soon out of time. Despite the marital and parental bliss, he's still a soldier in an active army. He has work to do. Each of his little girls gets a kiss on the forehead, despite Fina trying to dodge, and he shares a long, lingering kiss with his beloved before promising to be back soon. Then he's in the shades of the dark forest and greeted by the sound of gunfire at the practice range. "Looky, looky, lover boy's arrived." He just rolls his eyes and heads over to the range. Dale has a free area next to him, and Vernon only starts assembling his rifle next to him. "Escape the nest, I see," Dale teases him. "More dragged-out duty." Vernon notes as he finishes putting his weapon together. He activates a specific app on his communicator and then nods before calling out a warning. "Range is hot!" A hard light projector sets up a moving target, and he follows it only for a moment before gently squeezing the trigger on his rifle. The weapon lets out a blast of sound and jolts in his grip, but the bullet strikes dead center. The target shifts into a new configuration and with a completely different center mass. A second later, he has another bullseye and a third configuration to briefly consider before shooting. In the end, he has an accuracy rating of 48 out of 50 shots, something he needs to work on. He goes through the exercise 3 more times and gets it up to an average of 49 out of 50 shots. Another 2 sets and he maintains the average. "Something to work on?" Dale asks as he gets a shotgun slug through a bullseye at 150 meters. "You use anything but those beat sticks?" Vernon teases him, and he snorts before setting down the shotgun, draws his pistol, and fires the entire magazine into a series of targets, only missing 1 shot. "Fair." "What, you're not going to match that?" Dale asks, and Vernon puts the safety on his rifle, sets it down so it's still pointed down range and not at anyone before drawing his own pistol and emptying the clip. He misses 3 times from the 12 rounds he had to work with. Need to work on your rapid fire. Adept or not, you still need the basics," Vernon says to himself. "So, I heard a rumor about the Fang of the Empress returning. Saw a bit through the woods. But seeing through the forest is one thing. Seeing her in person is another. If you're asking what kind of person she is, she seems to be like the Empress. She moves with purpose and not without consideration. So not likely to have a problem with us? Considering that we're protecting, empowering, and healing her homeland at the behest of her Empress? No problem. But why the hell are you asking me? She's a char. Ask Bryn." Vernon states, and Dale shrugs. "Bryn Char is insanely protective of his family, you know that. He's quiet, but I get the sensation that he'd stab someone that bad-mouthed any of his wives without blinking and turn the knife if he's feeling petty." Dale remarks. "Thankfully, I do not need to do such a thing," Brinchar says as he wood walks in, well behind the range and out of danger, but still a little close for comfort. "Yeah, true, from what I saw of Yari, she would either likely roll her eyes, ignore you, or laugh it off if she doesn't care. And if you made her care, tell me, is she more fire than blade or blade than fire?" "She prefers to grapple, actually. Gets her into a potion to take prisoners, execute someone, or shake some sense into people," Brinchar notes. Then he draws a pistol out of his jacket. "Would you mind if I joined in? This seems like fun." "Do you know the rules?" Dale asks, and Brinchar nods. "What are they?" "The gun is always loaded. Declare the range as hot. Point it only at something you want injured and respect the weapon. Yourself and your fellows at all times," Brinchar says. "Sounds good to me. Do you have enough ammo to get some practice in?" I have only one clip. Magazine, a clip holds paper together. You have a magazine. Its clip holds it in place. Dale corrects him and Brinchar nods. Of course, he says before walking to the spot next to Vernon. So, you met my wife Yari the other day. I did. 30-year-long mission. The poor woman. Pity the wretch she got her claws on. 30 years living in fear, and the moment she starts to relax, the beast she was hiding from finds her. Brinchar notes as he starts downloading the app to get him training on the range properly. Does that happen often? Ridiculously long hunts and then right back to duty? The runners that have a good sense of when to duck down tend to be caught within a decade. However, there's a 50-year maximum, and for every 10 years she's out chasing the enemies of the Empress, Yari gets 8 years of paid vacation. That's a good chunk of downtime. 24 years paid vacation? High demands have high rewards, Dale says appreciatively. He had been worried hearing about some poor woman working for 30 years straight, but if she's paid the whole way and then gets 24 years with the same pay and no work, good deal. Yes, it is, Brinchar notes as he finishes up and sights down the top of his pistol. My family is about to expand again. She's currently going through a youthening rest, and tonight she wants to try for a clutch of eggs. Congratulations. Seeing that you have Darechar running around means she's interested in trying for the 1 in 100 prize, isn't she? She is. I'm not sure how to dance towards this any closer, so I'll simply ask. I've heard rumors of an undaunted method to increase the chance of male children. Is it for sale? It's still in testing, but it works on the children of humans with Zayden and Yaoya so far, Dale says, and Vernon mentally breathes a sigh of relief. He was somewhat tempted to be the tester, but with the way his mind works, he had thought of a million horrific things that could happen if it wasn't properly tested first. He doesn't want his beloved to have the heartbreak of non-viable eggs, or any of his poor little dears to be born deformed or sick. Here, if you're using the standard model, then these will work for your pistol, Vernon says as he holds out a pair of full magazines to Brinchar. You know how to reload, I hope. I do, thank you. Just give me back the empty magazines when you're finished, Vernon tells him. So, I know you can hear me, Mr. Koga. Is this really a weapon your stealthy and subtle ancestors used? Brinchar asks, after firing a few more rounds. He's struggling to find the balance between compensating for and overcompensating for the recoil. Oh yes, granted the ones we used to use were not anything like this, but the idea of a weapon that's immensely deadly, easy to transport, can be used at range, and only needs a small amount of training to be battle-ready with it is a godsend to a group like mine. Not to mention the sheer shock and awe of the sounds of a gunshot. The closest thing in nature is the clap of thunder, which always means danger, and people either duck or get curious when they hear it. If you hide the gun and then do one of those two things, you can easily send people on a wild goose chase. I suppose, but what about the smell? That's where the range comes in. By the time a searcher gets to you, it will have dissipated enough for you to hide it well, Koga remarks. Besides, a sudden cannon shot, a flurry of pistol fire from nowhere, a sniper shot, these will end armies in moments, just so long as you know where and when. Right. Well, as interesting and listening into all of you is, I'd like to get my training out of the way so that I can go back to family, Vernon says as he refocuses and takes aim. He finishes that first leg of his training and then gets to the next level of things as he packs up his tools, grabs a pack of heavy rocks, and then rushes up to the hidden village without using the main trail. The brutal hike is harsh, but it's followed by a sprint across the length of the village itself before double timing it down the hill and then circling around the base to do it all over again 2 more times. 2 hours later, and he's drinking out of the cold mountain stream of the village and then checks his smell. Not too good, but he's not done yet. The next part is easy and something that the trainee sorcerers like to watch. Simple, but hard. Pick up big thing and put it down. He tunes out the world as he does so, and when his muscles have a hard burn and then goes into a cool down. So why do you do this instead of just using Axiom again? Jeth Erla asks. He's sitting on top of the boulder with his legs crossed and watching in interest. If you start stronger, you can go further and much harder, Vernon explains as he puts down his boulder. Nerd he may be, but that rock was easily 250 pounds and he just deadlifted it with a 60-pound kid sitting on top. So, when you're done, you're going home. I have a couple hours break before I need to do some patrols around the forest. It's considered a friendly territory in need of protection, so we need boots on the ground. Vernon answers. And does that help you finding new sorcerer recruits? It does, Vernon states as he goes back to the river and splashes his face. So, if you'll excuse me, I'll be going back to them now for a bit. I need to have a shower and change into my proper patrol uniform. Have fun, Jeth Erla states, and he receives a salute from Vernon, who vanishes in a woodwalk. He appears in his backyard and slips through the door and into his home. Yet, for the moment, it doesn't feel like home. Yes, the girls are with their grandmothers and having a good time, nothing's wrong. But the house just feels so empty with the little girls away. The water pouring over him is even more important as something that warms and soothes him more than it helps in cleaning him. He needs to feel the stress of his muscles for them to properly grow. If you don't struggle, you don't get any stronger, and wiping that away would ruin it. So just a soothing shower and not a full healing. Camouflage pants, boots, olive drab undershirt and camouflage jacket. Ground forces once again, just on a standard patrol in a forested area. A forest where they have sheer tactical control. The weapons may be standard issue, but they're also utterly unnecessary. No messages on his communicator. It's just a normal day so far. Nothing to worry about at all. He pauses for a few moments after that thought crosses his mind. No knocks on the door, no invisible alien assassin, and no report of an FTL meteor sailing for Serbo. Well, looks like it may even be true. Wouldn't that be a twist? Maybe I should stop reading so much fantasy. The narrative convenience of it all is starting to get to me. Vernon notes to himself, and he's gone in another woodwalk.